I'm Ryan Besson from The Pop Culturist, and recently we were invited to the Nintendo head office here in Melbourne to spend some time with Super Mario Odyssey. Now, luckily for me, it happened to fall on my daddy daycare day, so my son James and I drove the hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on traffic, to the head offices. It was quite a smooth drive. James slept most of it, kept it nice and quiet, and I had a fun time. So when we finally arrived, we were able to spend about 80 minutes or so with Super Mario Odyssey. We did a couple little things. We spent time in 3 different kingdoms. Spent time in the Cappy Kingdom, which is sort of the tutorial beginning of the game. The Luncheon Kingdom, which is a food-inspired kingdom. And the Seaside Kingdom, which is, as the name suggests, the seaside. So there's beach, there's water, there's squids, and there's a damn shirtless Mario. Oh yeah. So straight off the bat, I want to mention the game looked fantastic. Credit to Nintendo. Nintendo know how to use their own hardware, which makes sense. Their first party games always looked the schmickest. In the same way that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe looked fantastic on the Switch, Mario Odyssey looked just as good. I feel I should put it out there. I didn't grow up with 3D Mario. I didn't have a 64. I didn't have a GameCube. So I never spent time with Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, Galaxy 2. 2D Mario is where I spent most of my time in the original Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. I didn't play those. So going into this, it was oddly a brand new experience for me. So this could be good or bad. Not having grown up with those games, I'm not going to have that nostalgic vision towards them. However, in that same vein, there may be little mechanics and little systems in the game that I myself probably won't understand simply because I don't have that history. But let's get into the specifics in a moment. Let's get some of the generals out of the way. So first of all, Super Mario Odyssey is coming out October 27th. So we had a nice bit of early access to it. This is the first 3D Mario game since 2004, I believe. It's been quite a long time. So the anticipation for this game is understandably high. So there are some things that are standard to a 3D Mario experience, like your triple jumps and your sliding and you're running around. And the one thing that oddly frustrated me, which I think I'm just going to get out of the way nice and quickly, whenever Mario goes to run, he does this weird slip thing with his feet and then he sort of shoots off. Now, I know this to be something that's across all 3D Mario games. However, for myself, I found this to be a disadvantage. I really found it took away from the accuracy and the platforming. Now, I understand it's something that you would learn over time and that's how Mario controls, but for me, it's kind of an issue. However, one of the newest features in the game, which I think is fantastic, is Cappy. Now, as I don't have a Cappy, I have a Nintendo Switch hat, and that's going to be my Cappy for the video. So the premise of this game, as always, Mario is on his way to rescue Peach as she's been kidnapped by Bowser. However, this time it's a little bit different. It looks as if Bowser is planning on marrying Peach. To me, that explains why the amiibos are all tucked up. I don't know how I didn't know that until I went to the hands-on. So that was interesting. And on top of that, so your new buddy Cappy, his sister, who is also a hat, which in this case is Peach's tiara, has also been kidnapped with Peach on her head. So the two of you need to team up and go and rescue the pair. So Cappy is essentially a little ghost that lives in Mario's hat. For circumstances that I won't elaborate into here, Mario loses his hat. Cappy comes in, replaces said hat. Now you've got yourself a cool new thing. Now, Mario has always had a hat, and I believe this is the first time he's sort of used it in a different fashion other than, well, the hat. First of all, Cappy is a awesome addition to Mario. Felt oddly innovative on something that's we've always known to be there. So as I'm sure you've seen from the many trailers of this game, Mario has the ability to whip Cappy as sort of like a weapon and sort of a platform to get between a couple of different things. So that's really cool. I found this awesome, really. There are a couple of things that made it a little bit better than I thought. Initially, when I went in there and we sat down and they handed me the controllers, they were the 2 Joy-Cons with the straps. I was thinking to myself, why can't we use the Pro Controller? I got a Pro Controller. I love it. The Pro Controller is fantastic. However, it turns out that there is some motion control being used in this game. Now, I know what you're saying. Motion controls are poo. And look, 99% of the time, I agree with you. Really, I do. However, here, it's a little bit different. It's really quite intuitive. So, in the same way that you would flick your hat, you do that with the controls and you flick it. It's pretty straightforward, like this. Granted, I look like an idiot now, though. But the benefit of that is you can add a little bit of twist, a little bit of variation. So you can sort of give it a little bit of a spin and it'll go to the left and go to the right and give it that sort of a bit of a hook shot. That part seemed awesome. It seems organic. It seems great. Now, the great thing about throwing Cappy is it has one cool feature. Now, I did get in trouble for using the wrong word when I was talking about this at the session. You don't possess enemies, you capture them. See? Cappy. Capture. Cap. Makes sense. When you capture the enemy, you sort of move as they do. You know, if you happen to throw a hat and capture one of those little fire dudes in the lava, you're now the fire dude. You throw it at a Goomba, guess what? You're a Goomba. But at the same time, it can also be used to interact with the environment, as we sort of seen, you know, with the hopping in the trailers. What you can do is you can throw it at a light, and it'll turn the light on, which in this case gave you coins. And there are some sort of puzzles in the area, like there's coins hidden behind a fence. Throw the cap at the fence, yanks the fence out. You can now get in there. You can use it as a weapon. You can throw it, breaks boxes, clears paths. Awesome. See, there was one thing that I kept doing during the session, and that was use the cap, which is all well and good, but I kept forgetting that it's a Mario game, and one of Mario's skills is jumping on things. There were many enemies that I'm sitting there just throwing the cap at. I'm like, why aren't they dying? Like, I need them to get out of my way. And then I sort of had to be reminded that no, Goombas, you jump on Goombas. It's been this way since the 80s. You should know this. Jump on them, we're all good. And that was the one thing. I liked the use of Cappy so much that it kind of took away from the other thing. So with Cappy, it made the game feel like I wouldn't even say a shooter. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I felt myself kept using that rather than jumping. Even though part of my brain knew that it's a Mario game, you should be jumping. You should be sort of jumping on enemies. That's the standard. That's the given, right? I don't know. But I can't explain that one. But for me, I found myself using the cap more than I should have been. So a perfect example of Cappy being used not just for enemies is in the Luncheon Kingdom. As I said before, is essentially a food-themed world. As you enter the Luncheon world, one of the first things you notice, the people that live here are forks. Yeah, genuine forks. It was awesome. So eventually you get to a point where there's a giant sort of cliff face with a bunch of forks in it. And the only way to get up there is to throw the cap and capture the forks. And you throw yourself up and you use that to get to the top. Myself, not too good at it. Fell off a lot, died a lot. So the Luncheon Kingdom compared to the Cap Kingdom was a lot more open. So the Cap Kingdom being a tutorial, it sort of clearly pushed you in a particular direction, which is fine. You're learning the controls. It all made sense. Then, once we jumped into the Luncheon Kingdom, everything opened up. Super Mario Odyssey is not open world per se. It's essentially small little sandboxes. Now those sandboxes are quite huge, but you can somewhat tackle them as you wish. So unbeknownst to me, this may be the standard in the Mario 3D games. However, for me, it was brand new. It was cool. Although you are in like a small closed off section, it does seem and feel quite expansive with a lot of little sub areas to head on and do cool things. While you're in the kingdom, there's a couple of things you do. You collect your coins. You collect these little unique tokens that can only be found at each kingdom and can be traded in for more costumes, which allows you to do more cool stuff. And then of course you've got your bosses and whatnot, but we don't want to get into that spoiler territory. We'll wait for you to get your hands on with that. That part's really cool. Coming out of the session, I had sort of interesting feelings towards it. So as I left the session, I felt somewhat conflicted's the wrong word. I really enjoyed my time with it. I think it's great. I'm going to really enjoy when it comes out at the end of October. But I do feel that I may not be getting its full potential. And that simply comes from me not having that legacy with Mario. No fault to the game at all. It's just that I think if I spent the hundreds of hours in Super Mario 64 as a kid, this would be a brilliant experience. Because this is essentially the spiritual successor to Super Mario 64. In no way is that a negative. I think that's fantastic. Look, I'm a PlayStation guy. I had the Crash Bandicoot collection come out a couple months ago. That's my nostalgia. I could have cried when they announced that. And people will have that same response to Super Mario Odyssey. And that's awesome. So the easy answer is, will I be picking it up come October 27? Yes. Yes, I will. This, with the release of Super Mario Odyssey, it's going to essentially put a cap, pun intended, on an excellent year for the Switch. So in the 80 minutes that I spent with the game, I don't think I scratched the surface. I think there's a lot of potential in this game, a lot of potential to do well. But I think people already know that. It's no surprise that this game will do gangbusters. It's a Super Mario game. Come on. It's a damn good time. I can't wait to pick it up. My only wish is that it came out before EB Expo, giving me the ability to play it on the plane, in the hotel room, doing that sort of stuff, playing it on my own time. However, it will be at EB Expo. So I asked the question, how easy is this going to be to get my hands on it at EB Expo? And the answer is incredibly easy. They will have multiple booths set up, so you can just essentially wander on in after probably lining up, and you can get your hands on Super Mario Odyssey. So thank you very much to Nintendo Australia for inviting us to their offices to spend some time with the game. I truly appreciate the invite. And look, I'm just going to mention it here as well. When I got the invite, I emailed the PR team. I said back to them, hey, put me as a tentative yes. I have my son that day. It happens to be my daddy daycare day. I'll see if I can get someone to look after my son. We'll go from there. They come back saying, hey, bring your kid. It's fine. They let me bring my 9-month-old son with me. So while I'm sitting there playing Super Mario Odyssey, the woman in the room, she was fantastic. She played with James the whole time. It was amazing. I oddly have never felt so welcome. Like, they were incredibly accommodating. I would have never thought that. Never have thought in my life that they'd be like, yeah, no worries, bring your kid, he can come hang out. To me, it showed the vibe that Nintendo brings out of being the child-friendly, being that family console. And these guys really showed that in how we were treated on that day. And I can't thank them enough for allowing me to come and bring my kid. So anyway, that was our hands-on impressions with Super Mario Odyssey. It hit store shelves on October 27. It's going to be a very, very busy month. But I don't know about you. I'm all about that cap. This hat is a little bit too small, and it's kind of hurting my head.